Loretta Young was one of the most elegant women in Hollywood history. Born in 1913 in Salt Lake City and raised in Los Angeles, Loretta entered the film industry very early, acting in silent films as a child. By the 1930s, she had blossomed into one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. With her delicate features and wholesome image, she was the ideal leading actress of her time. Many liked her, audiences adored her, and she built a career based on being poised, polished, and deeply religious. But in 1935, at just 22 years old, everything changed. In that year, Loretta starred alongside Clark Gable in a film called The Call of the Wild. Gable was older, rugged, and already a huge star. He was also married. During the filming, Loretta became pregnant. At that time, an unmarried pregnancy in Hollywood could destroy a woman's career. The studios had strict moral codes. Loretta, a devout Catholic with a clean public image, knew a scandal like this would ruin everything she had worked for. So she disappeared. She told the public she was taking a break due to exhaustion. In truth, she was hiding her pregnancy. She gave birth to a baby girl named Judith, Judy for short, but she didn't keep the baby. Not at first. For over a year, Judy was placed in orphanages and foster homes under secret arrangements. Then, in 1937, Loretta returned to the public with a surprise. She announced she had adopted a little girl. That girl was her biological daughter. No one questioned it. The press accepted the story. The studio went along, and for the next 2 decades, Loretta Young raised her daughter Judy as though she had no blood connection to her. Judy Lewis. From the outside, Judy Lewis had a glamorous life. She lived in Beverly Hills, went to good schools, and had a famous adoptive mother. But something always felt off. People commented on how much she looked like Clark Gable. She had the same strong chin and the same ears that were large and stuck out noticeably. At age 7, Judy was taken for surgery to pin them back. Loretta said it was for Judy's own good. But Judy always sensed there was more to the story. She felt different, disconnected, like she was living someone else's life without the instructions. Growing up, Judy often asked questions about her father. The answers were vague. She was told he wasn't around, that he wasn't part of the picture, but no one ever explained why. Years later, Judy remembered feeling like the only person in the world without a past. Judy's 2 brothers. In 1940, Loretta married producer Tom Lewis. With him, she had 2 sons, Christopher, whom she gave birth to in 1944, and Peter in 1945. They were born into a more traditional home life. While Judy was raised under the cloud of secrecy, Christopher and Peter were raised more openly. Loretta was warm and supportive with them. They grew up knowing who their father was. There were no secrets in their part of the house. Christopher Lewis was thoughtful and steady. He watched his mother work, quietly taking in how she balanced faith, fame, and family. As an adult, he became a writer and producer, known for his work on TV films like The Day Christ Died and I Saw What You Did. He carved out a career in television, steering clear of the spotlight his mother once lived in. Peter Lewis towed a different path. Sensitive and artistic, he turned to music. In the 1960s, he became a founding member of the band Moby Grape, a psychedelic rock group that mixed blues, folk, and wild electric guitar. Peter stood out as both guitarist and songwriter, writing some of their most beloved tracks. Both brothers inherited their mother's creative spirit, but behind the music and movies, even they did not know about the family secret. Loretta Young kept Judy's true parentage a closely guarded secret, even within her own household. Judy was publicly presented as an adopted child, and that was the story everyone, including Christopher and Peter, was expected to believe. And Judy began to ask questions. The search for truth. By her 20s, Judy had started acting and had a career of her own, but the questions never stopped. The turning point came when she got engaged. One evening, she broke down in tears with her fiancé, saying she didn't know who she really was. To her shock, he told her he had known for years and that he believed Clark Gable was her real father. This shocked Judy. Judy had suspected it for some time, but hearing it said out loud hit her differently. Still, she didn't confront Loretta until years later. The fear of losing her mother's love held her back. Finally, at 31 years old, she couldn't stay silent anymore. She sat down with Loretta and asked her directly, was Clark Gable her father? Loretta broke down in tears and told her the truth. Yes, he was. She admitted that Judy was not adopted, but her own child. The guilt was too much for her to bear, and she had carried the secret alone for over 3 decades. She told Judy that she had made a terrible mistake, but she had done what she thought was necessary to protect them both. Then she made Judy promise never to tell anyone. A long silence. Judy kept the promise. For years, she stayed quiet about her identity. She went on to become a successful psychotherapist, helping others work through trauma, abandonment, and identity struggles which she understood all too well. But even though Judy now knew who her real father was, not being able to say it publicly weighed heavily on her. The silence grew heavier. In 1994, Judy released a book called Uncommon Knowledge. In it, she told the full story of her birth, her famous parents, the cover-up, the confusion, and the long road to acceptance. She didn't write it to get revenge. She wrote it to heal. But Loretta was devastated. Though the world now understood Judy's truth, Loretta stopped speaking to her for 3 years. She felt exposed, betrayed, and ashamed. The two eventually reconciled, but their relationship never fully returned to what it had been. A darker truth comes out. In the years before her death, Loretta privately shared one final truth with her family. She explained that what happened with Clark Gable wasn't a romance. She had never wanted to be with him. According to Loretta, Clark Gable had forced himself on her during the filming of The Call of the Wild. At the time, she didn't have the words to describe what had happened. Only later in life, after hearing the term date rape, did she realize that was what it had been. It was a tragic revelation that gave deeper meaning to the shame and secrecy she had lived with. It was also something she never admitted publicly. Loretta passed away in 2000 at the age of 87. She took much of her pain with her. Where they all ended up. Judy Lewis continued to work as a therapist until her passing in 2011 at age 76. She raised her own daughter and became an advocate for truth and healing. Although Judy never got to have a normal family, she found peace by helping others. Christopher Lewis went on to have a long career in film and television. He died in 2021, leaving behind a respected legacy in the entertainment industry. On the other hand, Peter Lewis has continued to make music and perform. He has lived a more private life, focusing on his art and avoiding the spotlight his mother once knew so well. Each of Loretta's children lived a very different life. One grew up shrouded, trying to solve a mystery that was never supposed to be solved. The other two lived in the light, but under the quiet weight of a family truth that they never knew but instinctively felt. It goes without saying that Loretta Young built a life based on control of her image, her choices, and her secrets. In many ways, she succeeded. She protected her career. She avoided scandal. She raised 3 children who went on to live meaningful lives. But she also left behind pain. The silence cost her a full relationship with her daughter. It put a burden on a child who deserved answers, and it reminded the world that even the most glamorous lives can be filled with heartbreak. Still, there is something deeply human about Loretta's and Judy's story. She was a woman trying to survive in a world that gave her few options. She did what she believed was best. Perhaps Loretta wasn't right in concealing the truth for long, but at the very least, she was real to herself. If you like this story, remember to like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next one.